We were sitting out on the step, you know.
Ain't nothing to it. So what you gonna do around this?
Yo, man, I'm gonna go over here and get this brother a little rap, man, see what his head is all about.
Now I'ma say this one time, boy, and that's my word.
We rock the shot to knock fire through the Hindenburg.
The contribution is clear.
You add water to bone and get the Jurassic vibe on the microphone.
Now if you like the tone
And how the harmony's done.
And the sucker MCs die before they begun.
well, I like to know if you got the notion.
Cause we're number one.
I'm not trying to say my style is better than yours, I'm just on some other shit. I'm all about the beats and the lyrics, so when you hear it, you can feel it. The vibe is energized by the presence of my spirit.
No interference, we persevere. The purpose is clear. We're here to leave your ear hurting severe. You're lurking in fear, cause we take it back like Robin Loxley, rocking from countryside to spots where hard rocks
I
be.
often wonder if these MCs even know how it feels to dedicate their whole life to this mic of steel. It's not about the bill, that's not keeping it real. A lot of tight rappers out here ain't got no deal.
We appeal to the brothers with flow finesse, cause it's the 100-watt bloodshot game of death. Cause we're protected by the covenants of words and beats. Rewind and feel the heat, recline and take a seat.
So let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just that classic rap shit from Jurassic. Let's take it back to the concrete streets. Original beats with real live MCs. Playground tactics, no rabbit and a hat tricks. Just that classic rap shit from Jurassic.
Now I walk from trans.
Okay, so after all that silliness, sorry to everyone, hope no offence caused, honestly. Especially Nick and Dan. Sorry, Nick and Dan. We were just going to come out, this is Orchard Barn here. We're just coming out, it's bank holiday, doing a bit of surveying.
A bit of surveying, yeah, a bit of planning. It's always better to do that when there's nobody else on site. You get no distractions, there's no noise, you get a chance to think, and you generally make less mistakes. My experience.
And you were just about to talk me through how it's going to look, so...
Yeah, just a general layout really, because it's all very well looking at it on paper, but sometimes you need to see it in the full light of day. So essentially in here, this will be a completely two-storey open plan living, dining, cooking space. So at this end, this on board has to stay because it's providing support to these old beams. And these old posts, which in turn are supporting the trusses. So they're pretty integral. It's going to be a lot of work just to take that wall down and rebuild it. So we're planning to keep this wall, which is 1 brick thick, so it's twice as thick as it needs to be for modern construction as an inner leaf. But we're going to turn this into a cavity wall and put an outer leaf on the outside of it, so keeping this wall. So this in essence becomes our interior wall line, which we will then finish however we see fit on the inside. All the way through, like I said, to the new extension. So we're trying to work out the levels in here as to what the finished floor level is going to be. And I think in essence it's pretty much going to be what the old level was, and that should make the new extension work, but I've got to survey the new extension levels to see if that works and how many steps we can that'll be. Window position stays, the old doorway out because of the levels and because we don't need it to be, becomes a glazed screen. We've got a high level window there, and we've got some sort of weird opening which was formed at a time to get through to another barn that used to be there, a modern steel barn which is now gone. So this will become a pair of French doors out. So we're going to reduce the step height properly, pretty much like I said, to the floor level, and that'll become a nice pair of French doors. And then you'll start seeing yellow spray paint, as I like to mark everything up, make it all idiot proof. So yellow dots on the floor are my survey points, and marks like demo, avoid any doubt, just to make bits coming out to stay.
So that's just not your Banksy impression?
That's not my Banks impression. And we've got roof lights that go in, 2 or 3 pairs of roof lights, depending on how it feels when we open it all up. We've got permission for 3, we may only put 2 in. So this wall comes out, this door frame comes out, these remnants of timbers come out, and this wall comes out to open up this space back over here. Roughly in this position, we've got permission to put a new window in, because this will be the kitchen area. So we've got a window here looking out over the orchard at the front. And then back at this point, from the back of that wall, which stays to about here, this will be the utility zone in here. And we'll have got a quirky little staircase in the utility that goes up to create a first floor viewing platform that looks right over the rest of the... I'm just laughing.
You haven't told me about that
This is
before.
why I said, do you want to go through the drawings? You were like, no, I think I know it all, it's fine.
I thought I did.
Eminently.
A viewing platform.
Yeah, it's fine. So essentially there's a first floor over the utility space, which cantilevers out over part of the kitchen, just 600 mil, enough for us to get extract hoods and stuff in for the cookers, with a glass balustrade, which means you can sit up there and look right the way down through the Volta thing.
Well, that sounds lovely.
Glad you like it.
Just as well, really, isn't it?
It is. And then this becomes the buffer zone between the new build and our farmhouse. So we've already got our door through here to get us into the courtyard. There'll be a doorway there, and that wall comes down because if a pair of doors go there, it's on the wrong line. We need to rebuild that back on this post line, and this becomes bins, doors, refuse, recycling, etc.
So it's been a week of
4 days.
breaking stuff up.
Not quite a week. Yeah,
It's felt like a week. So should we walk through to the dystopian hellscape that is...
Yeah, you can do.
The yard.
It's a 4-day week. The boys have worked really hard this week to get done what we've got done, but we are pretty much on target for the crusher coming in on Monday.
There we go. Oh, you know that saying, it's got to get worse before it gets better?
Yeah, I hope you're referring to the building site.
Yeah, so 500 tonnes of concrete ready to be crushed up. Got a concrete crusher coming in next week with an
Monday.
operator.
Monday.
Yeah, it's a nice site, isn't it? Okay, so we're over here in a slightly different looking mill barn, which now has no concrete floor. That was all taken out this week. Obviously we're still in the depths of lockdown. How has the whole lockdown thing affected, or not affected, what we've been doing?
Well, fortunately for us, we are at a phase where we don't require any materials as such. So we have machines, so we're just digging. So essentially it hasn't really affected us this week. Obviously everyone's staying reasonably socially distant from each other, because the two guys that we've got here working with me are both in their own machines, as you've probably seen. Yeah, so it hasn't really affected us. We were able to go just back on with what we need to do.
But how far ahead can you plan on something like this?
You need to try and plan as far ahead as you possibly can, but it's reasonably impossible at the moment because you don't know when you're going to be able to get materials and when people will be able to come to site for meetings, so that's really difficult. But at the moment I'm trying to plan as far ahead as possible, hence taking levels in there, because we need to give that information to Kim, the architect, who then needs to get that to building control, and then building control are going to come out or do some sort of remote third-party visit to be able to approve all the substructure conditions before we can lay concrete and do drainage. So yeah, it's a bit difficult at the moment. It's a tricky times and it's hard enough to do as it is, but we're just trying to plan as far ahead as possible so we don't grind to a halt, because that's the bit that will sting you the most.
Okay. And this whole, as I said earlier, about having to go backwards before you can go forwards with old buildings, and how it all looks a lot worse before it gets better. Would you say that's true?
Very true. For example, down here at this end, you'll see that this wall is peppered with holes, and it's got like rib lines across it. Now, you probably couldn't see in the footage from last week, but it had wriggly tin fixed to the walls, which created the perfect environment for rats and mice.
Ooh.
Yep. I think there's one down here on the floor. Yeah.
Oh.
Dead one. It's fallen behind the sheets. And
Oh God, it's
mummified.
flat as well.
It's mummified.
Oh Jesus.
So we have got a whole series of rat runs going through what is quite an essential wall. Luckily it's supported on the other side by another building, but we've got a lot of remedial work to do now to fill all these holes, to get rid of all these old nests, to make it structurally sound. So we'll have to pin all these corners, stitch these corners back together. We've got quite a large vertical crack there which will need stitching. And we've got beams, steel beams to insert on both of these ends, so we've got to make sure that this gable end, which is unsupported externally, doesn't just fall away. So we've got to stitch crack, or to stitch, not stitch crack, but just stitch that gable end back to that cob wall, just to make sure it stays completely integral to the rest of the building. The concrete slab in here was pretty much as we expected, but we've still got a lot of work to do in here. We've got to reduce this level by another 350, 400 mil before we can lay concrete. So yeah, still quite a bit to do.
So as you can see, we've got all the harass fencing up now. The site is fully secure just to stop anyone getting in, falling in to what looks like... It's like Diggerland, but rubbish, isn't it? Yeah. Shall we wander down to the farm shop?
Yep.
Not much been happening there. I think it's probably going to be, I don't know, maybe spring, summer 2021.
It's a hospital job, so perhaps when we're doing concrete and groundworks in there and we've got that done, we may tuck the floor in here, get that done as well, so it's all secure.
What do you mean by a hospital job?
Job you do in between other things.
Okay.
That's the term you use.
Right.
So that's just being done at
So
a
it's
time when it's non-critical for the other stuff to be done.
okay. So it's useful to be able to have things to do in between when you can't do the things that you have to, particularly at a time like this, I think. So not much change in here, sadly.
At all, unfortunately.
But
Can't do
c'est la vie.
everything at once.
Can't do everything, can you?
Nope.
So it's a short and sweet one this week, mostly full of Mickey taking, but it's only been a 4-day working week, so it's been a little bit short, hasn't it?
It has, a bit repetitive, a bit noisy, and a bit dusty.
Sorry.
But next week won't be much more exciting because it's mostly crushing concrete and knocking down the rest of the walls that are going to come down. But it'll all pick up after that with some proper build going on, excavation, reduced level dig, foundations, drainage, and hopefully more people will be able to come to site and we might be able to get some materials, which would be great. And I might be able to get a haircut, which would be even better. Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
Bye.